Oh, college football is back. Week 0 kicks off on Saturday from Dublin, Ireland. It's Farmageddon. Iowa State clashing with Kansas State in a ranked-on-ranked matchup. It's going to be awesome. Here's a look at the rest of the Week 0 slate. On Saturday, 4 Eastern, UNLV hosting Idaho State. Rebels coming off an 11-win season. 6:30 Eastern, Kansas welcomes in Fresno State for their first game in their brand new stadium in Lawrence. 7 p.m. Eastern on CBS Sports Network, a Conference USA matchup between Sam Houston and Western Kentucky. Final game of the day on CBS, Stanford visiting Hawaii, 7:30 Eastern time. You can also stream the action live on Paramount+. College football is so back. Back here with former Louisiana running back Emory Hunt and CBS Sports college football writer Tom Fornelli. The season starts in Dublin, Ireland with a 100-year-old rivalry. Iowa State clashing with Kansas State in the latest edition of Farmageddon. All eyes on Heisman Trophy candidate and Wildcat starting quarterback Avery Johnson. Emory, this kid switched cars, by the way, in the offseason. He went from a Corvette to a Mercedes-Benz. He said he didn't want to be as flashy. I still think that's pretty flashy. What do you want to see him establish in the first game of the season?
Consistency, because we know he's one of the more talented quarterbacks in college football. He's a dual threat guy, makes a lot of plays on both ends of the offense. And when we're talking about consistency, we're talking about making the plays in the passing game in high leverage moments. If he's able to do that, Kansas State has a run game. They always have the defense. They will always have special teams. But it's the passing game coming from Avery Johnson in those big moments inside the red zone when the game is on the line, backed up situations, 4-minute offense type situations, basically playing consistent situational football. If he's able to do that, then he's going to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation.
Avery Johnson got it done last season, set a program record with 25 passing touchdowns. Iowa State's quarterback Rocco Becht, 2-0 as a starter against K-State. He's on a streak of 18 straight games with a passing touchdown, longest active streak in FBS. Tom, what does Rocco need to prove in this Big 12 battle?
I think it's an interesting spot for Rocco because if you look at the numbers he had last year, and you mentioned the streak he's got going on, he had a fantastic season for the Cyclones. He was one of the primary reasons why they had such a strong year. But you look at this team coming back into 2025, and they lost their 2 top receivers, both of whom were early draft picks in the NFL draft. So as Rocco Becht is returning, we really need to find out, who will be the replacements. It's probably asking a lot to ask for Iowa State, a program that hasn't really been a wide receiver assembly line over the years, to just, replace those 2 guys right away. It's probably going to be more of a committee, and you hope somebody kind of steps forward as the alpha #1 option. But when you're starting the season with a conference game like this, you don't really have a whole lot of runway to try to figure that out. So Rocco's going to have to take a lot of the onus upon himself to kind of make sure that this offense, particularly in the passing game, is able to stay on track. He might not have the home runs that he was used to hitting with those 2 last year, but he's going to have to make sure he hits a lot of the singles and doubles to keep this offense moving, and that way they can rely on the ground game they have as well behind a strong offensive line.
Yeah, you mentioned the success last season. Iowa State lost to Arizona State in the Big 12 championship, getting to the title game there. Emory, Saturday's game is a high-stakes opener for both the Cyclones and Wildcats. What does this mean for both these schools?
It means a lot, man. I'm not being hyperbolic because when I look at the Big 12, I feel like there are going to be at least 2 teams in the postseason coming from this conference. And so this is a game that truly matters right now for both of these teams and how things may shake out in the Big 12. I actually think Arizona State wins the Big 12, but you can make a case for Kansas State, Iowa State, Baylor is a surprise. All the money that went to Texas Tech, they're interested in this conversation, and Utah is always going to be Utah. So there's a lot going on in the Big 12, so a game like this for both teams is very important.
Yeah, this game's huge. I mean, there's the rivalry aspect of it right off the bat. But again, when it comes to the stakes, the best part of the Big 12 is that we really don't have any idea what's going to happen. We just saw on those odds board. Compare those to what you see in other conferences. How many other leagues do you see where like the top 4 or 5 teams are all basically within 100 points of each other as far as the odds are concerned? So you look at this spot, Kansas State's favored, Iowa State's 13-1. I think that's probably decent value because you do look at the Big 12 from top to bottom. There really aren't a whole lot of teams that you can look at and say they're head and shoulders above everybody else. So every single game in this league has huge implications as far as the conference standings are concerned, because as we saw last year, there were 3 teams at the top of this league who finished 7-2 in conference play. Tiebreakers are what decided Arizona State and Iowa State were the 2 that were going to be playing in the conference championship. It would not be a surprise to me at all if we see a similar situation this season. So not only is it important about beating your rival, but this could be a key tiebreaker for you down the line as far as your ability to get to the Big 12 championship and to win and get that automatic berth to the playoff instead of having to rely on an at-large committee to take you, over one of the 3-loss SEC or Big 10 teams.
Think about what Tom is just describing, right? And what we're talking about, the Big 12, how important conference championships are and how important the conference championship race is, which is why every conference champion should get an auto bid. I digress.
Yeah, well, there's some conferences that want to get rid of them. So just remember.
Not the Sun Belt. I'm here for y'all, Sun Belt.
We are. We do love the Sun Belt. We also love the Big 12. We love all college football, okay? It's back. We're excited. Iowa State has won 4 of the last 5 games against Kansas State, dating back to 2020. From the first game of the day to the final game of the day, Stanford visiting Hawaii, a game you can see on CBS streaming live on Paramount+. The big storyline for the Rainbow Warriors, redshirt freshman Micah Alejado takes over as the starting QB. Final game of the season last year, he made his first career start, threw for an eye-popping 469 yards, 5 touchdowns against New Mexico. I mean, that's incredible. This kid isn't all that big. What should we know about Micah Alejado?
Firstly, you see that 57 attempts, right? That's how you get 465 yards of 69 yards. But I will say this, he's 5'10", 180. And when you watch him play, guys, he's kind of like his head coach, Timmy Chang. He's just a shorter version of that, has a quick release. I love how they get him on the move. So he kind of can, a true air raid situation where a half roll out, half waggle, and he's able to fire that football. He throws a great timing and touch. The arm strength isn't there, so I'll be looking to see if he's going to be able to strengthen that this year, how he fills out his frame, because last year when he got in, and this is why I love the red shirting of certain players, because he got game action. This is his second year in the system. He knows what now college football feels like in terms of speed. So I'm excited to see him come out here and play really well, because I said before, Hawaii's a sleeping giant out there on the island. I think they're going to have a fun season this year.
Yeah, Emory, you mentioned the number of attempts to help him get up to that yard. I think the other factor worth considering is that it was against New Mexico, and there were a lot of players who set season highs against that New Mexico defense last year. But if you are a Hawaii fan, I do think there is reason to be kind of excited about this kid, because he played at Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, which is one of the better high school programs in the country, and has produced a lot of college players and plenty of NFL players. And he was very productive and played very well for that program. He had an outstanding college career. You saw the performance he had in his first career start last season, which is an excellent way to build confidence going into the offseason as you're preparing, knowing you are going to be the starter. He's a lefty, which is always a little different. I think it takes time for receivers to adjust to it, but he's also been tutored by Tua Tagovailoa, who is an excellent left-handed quarterback himself, who I think has a similar profile in that he's not the biggest guy and he doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's able to get the ball out on time and make right decisions. And I think that's an excellent role model for Alejado to follow. So I think this is a very interesting game. And you mentioned Timmy Chang, Emory. If there's anybody that knows how to get the ball out and get it into the right places and rack up yards, it's Timmy Chang. So it's a perfect situation, I think, for him. This is somebody who could have a statistically impressive season.
Hawaii looking to win its first game against a power conference opponent since 2019. Again, you can see the game 7:30 Eastern on CBS and streaming live on Paramount+. Stanford fired Coach Troy Taylor in March. Former standout new GM Andrew Luck then hired his former Colts coach Frank Reich to take over as the interim coach. That game opened with Stanford as a 2.5-point favorite. Now it's moved the other way to Hawaii as a 2.5-point favorite as we take a look at the line movement in week 0. Not a ton of line movement with those other games. And we're back here with Emory and Tom. And Tom, I'll start with you. Let's get your best bet for week 0.
Yeah, we're getting a little crazy with it for week 0. You know, we're not going to just dip our toes in the water. We are diving in head first. Give me Idaho State first half plus 14.5 against UNLV. I'm really excited about what Dan Mullen can do with this program. I'm really excited about a lot of the guys he's brought in through the transfer portal. But we've seen plans for this team offensively to play both quarterbacks, Anthony Calandria, a transfer from Virginia, and Alex Orja, a transfer from Michigan, in this game. You need two very different playbooks to play with these two different quarterbacks who have two very different skill sets. So I think you could see a little bit of, some speed bumps early before everybody truly kind of finds their footing. And defensively, it's the same thing. The Rebels were super solid on defense last year, but Barry Odom, their former coach, took all those guys with them to Purdue. So it's mostly a brand new depth chart on the defensive side of the ball. So this will be their first game playing together. So early on, I wouldn't expect to see some mistakes. So I think the first half, this one stays a little closer before UNLV pulls away in the second half. So give me Idaho State plus 14 in the first half.
I'm going to start bringing a shovel with me because I dig deep, right? I'm going to the MEAC SWAC challenge between Southern and North Carolina Central. This is going to be a fantastic game. Southern has some NFL prospects out there on defense. You have Jacoby Gibbons, the outstanding edge rusher, 6'2", 245. You also have Horatio Johnson. You have Xavier Spencer and also Herman Brisker. These guys are going to be phenomenal on the back end, long, lengthy, athletic. And I love Trey Oliver, the head football coach at North Carolina Central. He's a sound bite waiting to happen, has a great quarterback in Walker Harris. But this game is going to be a lot closer than people believe. Southern's defensive line pairs up perfectly with North Carolina Central's offensive front. So we'll see a stalemate all throughout the course of this ball game, plus 9.5. Give me the Jaguars. And I'm going to also lay those 2.5 points with Hawaii as well, too.
All right, I love it. Emory Hunt, Tom Fornelli putting knowledge in your mind so you can put money in your pocket even here in week 0. Men, thank you. College football is so back. Our first game of the season on CBS takes us to Hawaii. The Cardinal clashing with the Rainbow Warriors, 7:30 Eastern on America's most watched network, the Network of Stars. You can also see the action streaming live on Paramount+.